Why is nobody covering this? It's a great question. And this question as well. Google's manipulation, the one we just told you about, why isn't that a violation of campaign finance law? The company's YouTube blacklist, for example, allegedly suppressed negative videos about Maxine Waters. Why is that not an in-kind contribution to Maxine Waters? Harmeet Dillon, unlike us, is an attorney, and she joins us tonight. So, Harmeet, you just saw a guy plead to a felony because he paid off his client's girlfriend with private funds in the middle of a campaign. That was considered a campaign finance violation. Here you have the most powerful company in the world putting its thumb on the scale on behalf of candidates, but that's not a campaign contribution? How?
Well, it is a campaign finance violation, and if anybody thinks that this is some sort of aberration, Google has been doing this and bragging about it internally, even in the last election. Tucker, I think your show has previously covered the fact that Google made what I think one internal person at Google, a manager at Google, called a silent campaign contribution by turning out the vote and contributing turnout the vote efforts in several states that were swing states for Hillary Clinton, and specifically targeting Latino voters. I think people should be encouraged to do democratic activities like this on both sides and help with elections. But when a corporation does it with its corporate assets, it needs to be disclosed as a campaign finance violation, declared and disclosed on the other side as a campaign finance receipt by the campaign. Here you have the one example of Maxine Waters, but let's just play this out. Now, we have about 20 plus Democrats running for the Democratic nomination. If Google decides to bump up the search engine results in a positive way for Beto O'Rourke in response, for example, to Democratic candidates for President 2020, and then bump down Tulsi Gabbard or some others, for example, that's going to be a contribution, a net contribution, in my opinion, to those candidates who benefit from it, and a very valuable one. And if it isn't being disclosed as such, then that is a fraud on our democracy. And you can then imagine what they're doing vis-a-vis Donald Trump. They're already doing it to Republicans, as you have previously reported with regard to search engine results for Republican women, for California Republican Party, for various other Republicans. So I think this is, we all think every story is important when it comes to Google and what they do online, but this is a particularly shocking and alarming story that we really need to see our members of Congress, senators, and the White House wake up about this issue, because otherwise we aren't going to be talking about a democracy in the next 2 election cycles. We'll be talking about what it used to look like before we let big tech take over and control the outcome.
I don't see how under these circumstances, all things being equal, Donald Trump could get reelected. I don't. And look, I mean, I think we should have a free and fair election where people's votes really matter. But under these circumstances, we're not going to have that. I wonder why the White House wouldn't. I mean, they do control the executive branch of government. Why they wouldn't have been awakened to that. But
we have seen Donald Trump actually tweet about this issue in September 2018. He tweeted about, frankly, the subject matter of today's story from Breitbart, and people called him a conspiracy theorist, that it isn't true. And now we see the evidence that actually they are doing this manipulation, and that Sundar Pichai lied to Congress about it.
Yeah.
But these companies skillfully spread the money around, not just to members of Congress, but also people working in an administration who are looking for their exit and thinking, well, maybe I'll work on the other side of tech policy and make a bunch of money advising Google on how to speak conservative to conservatives.
Scary. That's exactly
how
right.
It happens.
Vladimir Putin is a much smaller threat to the United States than Google.
Absolutely.
Harmeet Dillon, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Well, the country's racing at high speed toward full legalization of marijuana.